All right, you bastards. Buckle up for a deep dive into some seriously fucked up shit about South Korea.
We're going way beyond K-pop and kimchi.
Yeah, to uncover some hidden truths about this little country.
That's become a global goddamn powerhouse.
It's not all sunshine and rainbows, though, right?
It's not all sunshine and rainbows, that's for sure.
Okay.
South Korea's history is full of drama,
Oh, yeah?
bloodshed, and some seriously badass motherfuckers.
Let's just cut the crap and get right to it.
Sure.
What's the deal with this land of morning calm bullshit?
Yeah, calm is a total misnomer.
Okay.
Ancient Korea was a goddamn free-for-all,
Oh, wow.
with kingdoms constantly at each other's throats,
Really?
vying for power and territory.
So, like, everyone was just trying to kill each other.
It's like Game of Thrones, but with way cooler weapons.
Okay, so we keep hearing about these three kingdoms, Goguryeo, Baekje,
Yeah,
and Silla.
right.
What was their deal?
More like rival gangs fighting for street cred.
Okay.
Goguryeo was the biggest and baddest, known
Mhm.
for their military might.
So they were like the tough guys.
They held off the Chinese for 700 years,
No shit. For real.
and even repelled the Sui dynasty's invasion,
Holy shit.
with over 1 million soldiers.
1 million soldiers. That's insane.
Imagine 1 million pissed-off Chinese soldiers coming at you. That's some next-level shit.
So what did this badassery do for Goguryeo?
Absolutely.
Did it, like, shape their culture or something?
Their warrior culture was deeply ingrained in their society.
Right.
They developed a strong sense of independence
Yeah.
and a willingness to fight for their land,
Makes sense.
which became a defining characteristic of Korean identity.
So basically, don't fuck with Goguryeo or you'll get your ass kicked.
Exactly.
Got it. What about Baekje? What were they known for?
Baekje were the smooth operators,
Okay.
the diplomats and traders of ancient Korea.
So they were more like the brains of the operation.
They were all about spreading culture and Buddhism throughout East Asia.
Interesting.
Think of them like the ancient Korean version of Amazon.
Oh, I see.
But with temples and monks instead of drones and delivery guys?
So while Goguryeo was busy kicking ass, Baekje was building relationships and spreading ideas.
Not a bad strategy.
Not a bad strategy at all. And what about Silla?
Right.
The third wheel in this Korean kingdom love triangle.
Silla started as the underdog,
Okay.
the smallest and weakest of the three,
Mm-hmm.
but they were smart
So they had to be sneaky.
and knew how to play the game.
Right.
They formed alliances,
I see.
played their rivals against each other, and eventually teamed up with Tang China
No way.
to unify the three kingdoms in 676.
Damn.
Silla, the sneaky little brother who ends up on top.
I like it. So Korea is unified.
Right.
Things are looking up, right? What happens next?
Hold your horses. Unified doesn't necessarily mean peaceful.
Oh, here we go again.
We've got the Goryeo dynasty coming up next.
Okay.
And these guys face some serious challenges,
Like what? More wars? Rebellions?
both internal and external.
Oh, so everything's fucked up again.
They were known for their cultural advancements,
Okay.
but also had to deal with some major threats to their power.
Don't tell me those sneaky Chinese were back for round 2.
Not this time. The Goryeo dynasty was intellectually and culturally advanced. They actually invented the metal movable type printing press
Yeah.
way before Gutenberg.
The Koreans invented the printing press.
That's right.
That's some next level shit. So were they printing K-pop lyrics back then or what?
Not quite K-pop, but the printing press revolutionized Korean society.
I bet.
It allowed for the mass production of books,
Uh-huh.
which led to increased literacy rates, the spread of knowledge, and a flourishing of literature and the arts.
Wow.
It was a major turning point in Korean history.
So while Europe was still stuck in the Dark Ages, Korea was pumping out books and spreading knowledge. That's pretty badass.
They also had to be fierce warriors.
Oh, yeah, I bet.
They had to fight off the Khitan Empire.
Who were they?
They were basically the Mongols before the Mongols.
Damn. And they won.
Talk about brains and brawn.
Okay, but we all know how stories like this go.
Right.
A new empire comes along, bigger and better than the last,
Uh-huh.
and fucks everything up, right?
You're not wrong.
Here we go.
The Mongols, notorious for conquering everything in sight,
Oh, yeah.
showed up in the 13th century.
Oh.
The Goryeo dynasty fought them for 3 decades.
Damn.
But here's the twist. The Mongols never actually conquered Korea completely.
Wait, are you serious?
They couldn't break their spirit or fully subdue their resistance.
So the Mongols, who conquered most of Asia and scared the shit out of Europe, couldn't take Korea. How the hell did they pull that off?
It's a testament to the tenacity and resilience of the Korean people.
I can see that.
They used guerrilla warfare tactics,
Smart.
exploited the mountainous terrain,
Right.
and even managed to launch counterattacks deep into Mongol territory.
Real shit.
It's one of those David versus Goliath stories that shows you should never underestimate the power of a determined underdog.
Damn, that's some inspirational shit right there. So the Mongols couldn't fully conquer them, but I'm guessing they still had to make some concessions, right?
Yeah, there were compromises.
Like what?
The Goryeo kings were forced to pay tribute,
I figured.
send hostages to the Mongol court,
Shit.
and even submit to interdynastic marriages.
So basically they had to suck it up and play nice to avoid getting totally crushed.
Yeah, pretty much.
Makes sense.
Uh.
But I'm guessing this uneasy peace didn't last forever, right?
Well, in 1392, a general named Yi Songhai came to power.
Okay.
He was supposed to attack China,
Oh.
but he pulled a fast one and staged a coup,
What a dick.
establishing the Joseon dynasty.
So he backstabbed everyone and took over.
This was a pivotal moment in Korean history.
Okay.
They adopted Confucianism as their state ideology
Interesting.
and embraced a policy of isolationism,
Isolationism.
earning them the nickname the Hermit Kingdom.
Hermit Kingdom. That's pretty dramatic rebranding.
Oh.
So were they just chilling out, meditating, and writing poetry for 500 years?
Not exactly.
Okay.
They weren't hermits in the truest sense.
So they still talked to other countries?
They still engaged in trade and diplomacy,
Gotcha.
but they were selective about their interactions with the outside world.
So they were like the introverts of East Asia?
In a way, yes.
Okay.
They focused on developing their own unique culture and traditions,
Right.
emphasizing Confucian values of order,
Makes sense.
hierarchy, and social harmony.
Keeping things nice and tidy.
They made significant advancements in art,
Cool.
literature, and science.
Wow.
And their reign is often considered a golden age of Korean culture.
Okay, so Korea is chilling out.
Right.
Confucianism is spreading.
Uh-huh.
Everything is peaceful and harmonious, right?
Well, not exactly.
Uh-oh, what now?
Remember those pesky Japanese we talked about earlier?
Yeah, those guys.
They hadn't forgotten about Korea.
Of course not. They always want to cause trouble.
And in the late 16th century, they decided to make another play for the peninsula.
Ah, shit. Here we go again. Did the Hermit Kingdom finally come out of its shell and kick some ass?
They did. This is where the legendary Admiral Yi Sun-sin and his badass turtle ships come in.
Turtle ships. Those sound awesome.
He basically destroyed the Japanese Navy and became a national hero.
Were they literally ships shaped like turtles?
Pretty much.
Get out of here.
They were these heavily armored warships
Oh, wow.
designed to withstand cannon fire, with cannons sticking out all over.
Holy shit.
Imagine a giant, pissed-off turtle armed to the teeth that's a turtle ship.
Damn, the Koreans don't mess around. Those turtle ships sound like some serious shit. But were they enough to keep the Japanese at bay for good?
Unfortunately, no.
Ah, shit.
Japan was a rising imperial power, and they had their sights set on Korea.
Makes sense.
By the late 19th century, they'd forced Korea into becoming a protectorate, and then fully annexed it in 1910.
So Korea loses its independence.
Ending the Joseon dynasty and marking the beginning of a dark period in Korean history.
So the Hermit Kingdom couldn't hide forever?
Nope. The world was changing,
I guess so.
and Korea got caught in the middle of a geopolitical power struggle.
Right.
It was a brutal time for the Korean people,
I bet.
who faced oppression and attempts to erase their culture and identity.
All right, so the Joseon dynasty is over. Korea is under Japanese rule. And things are about to get really interesting, right? Where do we go from here?
Oh, things get a whole lot more fucked up.
Oh boy, I can't wait.
The Japanese occupation was a nightmare for the Korean people.
I can only imagine.
They were treated as second-class citizens, forced to assimilate, and denied basic human rights.
Damn, that's harsh.
It was a period of resistance, suffering, and ultimately a struggle for survival.
But I'm guessing the Koreans didn't just sit back and take it.
You're damn right they didn't.
Good.
There were protests,
Of course.
rebellions, and underground movements fighting for Korean independence.
Makes sense.
But the Japanese were ruthless in their suppression,
Yeah, they don't fuck around.
and it would take a world war to finally break their grip on Korea.
Okay, well, at least after World War II, Korea got its freedom back, right? Happy ending. What could possibly go wrong?
Oh, you sweet summer child.
What? What do you mean?
The end of World War II brought another set of problems.
Wait, so after fighting off the Japanese, the Koreans had to deal with more shit?
Yep.
Oh, come on.
Instead of freedom and unity, Korea got divided at the 38th parallel.
You're kidding, right?
The Soviets took control of the north,
Oh, no.
And the Americans took the South.
They just drew a line down the middle of the country.
It was like they sliced Korea in half and said, here, you guys figure it out.
Talk about adding insult to injury. What a clusterfuck. So Korea's divided, and I'm guessing this doesn't end well.
You'd be right about that.
Oh, shit.
This division set the stage for one of the most brutal conflicts of the 20th century, the Korean War.
Oh, man, I can't believe it. All right, folks, that's all we've got time for today.
Stay tuned for part 2,
where we'll delve into the Korean War and all the fucked up shit that came with it.
See you next time.
Peace out. All right, so last time we left off with Korea split in two like a goddamn pizza.
A ticking time bomb waiting to explode.
And I'm guessing it did explode.
And explode it did.
Oh.
June 25th, 1950. North Korea invades South Korea.
Shit.
The Korean War kicks off, and things go to hell in a handbasket real quick.
Our sources mention some insane statistics.
Oh, yeah.
3 million dead.
It's crazy.
A higher civilian death toll than World War II or Vietnam.
Yeah.
That's some seriously fucked up shit.
It's a horrifying tragedy.
Right.
A testament to the brutality of war and the human cost of ideological conflicts. Entire cities were reduced to rubble.
I bet.
Families were torn apart.
Wow.
And the scars of that war are still felt today, both in Korea and around the world.
So was it just a simple North versus South, communist versus capitalist showdown?
It was definitely a clash of ideologies.
Okay.
With the Soviet Union and China backing the North.
Right.
And the U.S. and its allies supporting the South.
But
it was also a proxy war, fueled by Cold War paranoia and geopolitical maneuvering.
So basically a clusterfuck of global powers using Korea as their own personal chessboard.
Yeah.
With little regard for the lives of the Korean people caught in the crossfire.
It was a mess.
We also came across this one people principle.
Right.
It was being pushed by Syngman Rhee's party in South Korea.
Yeah.
What the hell was that all about?
The one people principle was a nationalist ideology that emphasized the ethnic and cultural homogeneity of the Korean people. It was used to promote unity and patriotism, but also to justify authoritarian rule and silence dissent.
So basically, we're all Koreans, so shut up and do what you're told.
It was a way to consolidate power during a time of chaos and uncertainty, but it also had a darker side.
Oh, yeah.
It was used to suppress political opposition, demonize those who didn't conform, and create a climate of fear and suspicion.
Sounds like a classic case of using nationalism for political gain. Always a recipe for disaster. So all this talk about unity and one people didn't stop the fighting, did it?
Not a chance. Okay.
The war raged on for 3 years.
Damn.
A brutal back and forth with countless atrocities committed on both sides.
Jesus.
Neither side could achieve a decisive victory. And in 1953, an armistice was signed. Dividing the peninsula along a demilitarized zone.
But didn't South Korea refuse to sign that armistice?
That's right.
Really?
Syngman Rhee, the president of South Korea at the time,
Yeah.
was a stubborn son of a bitch.
What a dick.
He wanted a unified Korea under his rule.
Oh, wow.
And refused to acknowledge the division of the peninsula.
So technically, North and South Korea are still at war.
Technically, yes.
That's fucked up.
They've been in a state of armistice for over 70 years, but there's never been an official peace treaty.
Wow.
It's a frozen conflict, a constant reminder of the unresolved tensions and the potential for renewed violence. Damn. So after all that bloodshed and destruction, Korea is still divided and the situation is still tense as hell.
That's the fucked up reality of it.
The Korean War was a tragedy that left deep scars on the Korean psyche and continues to shape the political landscape of the region.
Absolutely.
Okay, well, let's shift gears for a bit and talk about what happened after the war, specifically in South Korea.
Okay.
Our sources mention an economic miracle.
Right.
How the hell does a country go from a war-torn wasteland to an economic powerhouse in just a few decades?
It's an incredible story of resilience, determination, and a little bit of luck.
Okay.
After the war, South Korea was devastated.
Right.
But they had a few things going for them.
Like what?
Strong leadership,
Okay.
U.S. aid,
Uh-huh.
and a hardworking, educated population.
So they had the right ingredients.
They focused on export-oriented industries,
Right.
embraced technological innovation,
Makes sense.
and basically worked their asses off to rebuild their country.
So they pulled themselves up by their bootstraps and said, fuck you to adversity.
Pretty much.
That's awesome.
They went from being an aid recipient to an economic powerhouse in a generation.
No shit.
Think
I know.
Samsung, Hyundai, LG.
Right.
These are global brands now, symbols of innovation and technological prowess.
I know, it's crazy.
And it all started in the ashes of the Korean War.
That's a seriously impressive turnaround. But I'm guessing this rapid economic development didn't come without a price.
You're right.
Okay.
The economic miracle came at the cost of political freedom and human rights.
Oh, what the hell?
South Korea, during this period, was ruled by a series of authoritarian regimes.
No way.
Often military dictatorships
Ah, shit.
that prioritized economic growth over democratic principles.
So it was like work hard, make money, and don't ask questions.
It was a Faustian bargain.
Makes sense.
People were willing to accept restrictions on their freedoms
Right.
in exchange for economic stability and a better future for their children.
I can see that.
It was a complex and controversial period in Korean history with long-lasting consequences.
So they were living under a dictatorship.
Yeah.
But at least they had jobs and were making money.
Right.
Sounds familiar.
It was a trade-off that many developing nations have faced.
I guess so.
The desire for economic progress often comes into conflict with the need for political freedoms.
Makes sense.
It's a delicate balance.
Right.
And South Korea's experience is a cautionary tale about the potential pitfalls of prioritizing economic growth over democratic values.
Clearly, this authoritarian grip on power couldn't last forever, right?
Yeah.
People eventually get tired of being told what to do, even if they have money in their pockets.
You're right about that.
Okay.
The 1980s saw a wave of student protests and pro-democracy movements sweep across South Korea.
That makes sense.
People were fed up with corruption,
Uh-huh.
repression,
Right.
and the lack of basic freedoms.
That bad.
They were demanding change.
Good for them.
And they were willing to risk their lives to get it.
Damn. Sounds like shit was about to hit the fan. What happened next? Did the military just crush these protests and maintain their grip on power?
Things came to a head in 1987
Okay.
with the death of Park Jong-chul,
Who's that?
a student activist who was tortured to death by the police.
Holy shit.
This sparked nationwide outrage
Pretty bad.
and led to massive protests that couldn't be ignored.
Damn.
The government was forced to make concessions,
Like what?
leading to direct presidential elections,
Okay.
and the beginning of South Korea's transition to a full-fledged democracy.
Damn, that's a tragic story. So this was a major turning point for South Korea.
Absolutely.
Okay.
It was a victory for the people,
All right.
a testament to the power of peaceful protest and the unyielding desire for freedom and self-determination.
So after decades of dictatorship, South Korea finally gets a taste of democracy. Who was the lucky dude who became the first democratically elected president?
The first direct presidential election was held in 1987,
Okay.
and the winner was Roh Tae-woo, a former general and member of the ruling party.
The former general, so not exactly a revolutionary figure.
He was a product of the system,
Right.
but he also recognized the need for change.
So he wasn't all bad.
He oversaw a period of political and economic reforms,
Okay.
paving the way for a more democratic and open society.
Okay, so baby steps towards democracy.
Right.
But Roh Tae-woo wasn't exactly a symbol of hope and change, was he?
No. But his presidency created the conditions for a truly remarkable figure to emerge.
Who?
Kim Dae-jung.
Kim Dae-jung.
Oh.
The guy who went from death row to the freaking president and won the Nobel Peace Prize? That Kim Dae-jung.
The one and only?
Kim Dae-jung.
Jung was a longtime opposition leader and democracy activist who had been imprisoned,
Shit.
exiled,
Yeah.
and nearly assassinated by previous regimes.
Oh, wow.
His election in 1997 was a watershed moment for South Korean democracy,
Right.
symbolizing a decisive break from the country's authoritarian past.
Okay, so Kim Dae-jung becomes president.
Right.
South Korea is a democracy.
Uh-huh. And everything is finally hunky-dory, right?
Well, it's never that simple.
Oh, here we go.
South Korea still faced challenges.
Like what?
Economic instability,
Okay,
political corruption,
of course.
and the ever-present threat from North Korea.
Right.
Kim Dae-jung's Sunshine Policy
Okay.
aimed to improve relations with the North through engagement,
Uh-huh.
economic cooperation, and humanitarian aid.
Right.
It led to some historic moments.
Okay.
But ultimately, the Sunshine Policy had limited success.
So after decades of animosity, some handshakes and photo ops, but no real progress. Typical.
The relationship between North and South Korea remains one of the most complex and volatile in the world.
That makes sense.
It's a legacy of the Cold War, a constant source of tension, and a reminder of the unresolved divisions that continue to haunt the Korean peninsula.
Okay, well, before we get into the present-day political shit show.
Okay.
I want to talk about the Korean wave,
Sure.
K-pop, K-dramas,
Right.
Squid Game.
South Korea has become a global cultural juggernaut. How the hell did that happen?
It's a fascinating phenomenon.
No, it's crazy.
The Korean wave, or Hallyu,
Uh-huh.
is the global popularity of South Korean pop culture.
Right.
And it's been building for decades.
Really?
It started with K-dramas and music spreading throughout Asia in the 1990s and 2000s.
Makes sense.
And then it exploded onto the global scene in the past decade, thanks in part to social media and streaming platforms like Netflix.
So it's catchy tunes, good-looking actors, and addictive storylines.
There's more to it than that.
Oh, really?
The Korean wave is also a reflection of South Korea's economic and technological rise.
That makes sense.
It has the resources and infrastructure to produce high-quality content
Right.
that appeals to a global audience.
Uh,
They've also been strategic in promoting their culture,
I can see that.
using soft power to enhance their global image and influence.
So basically, South Korea is using its newfound wealth and tech savvy to take over the world one K-pop song at a time.
It's a form of cultural diplomacy that has been incredibly effective.
I bet.
They're showcasing their creativity, their talent,
Right.
and their unique perspective to the world.
Makes sense.
And it's resonating with a global audience hungry for something new and exciting.
All right, folks, we've covered a lot of ground today.
We sure have.
From ancient Korean warriors and badass turtle ships to dictators, democracy movements, economic miracles, and the global phenomena of the Korean wave.
And we're not done yet.
But before we wrap up this deep dive into South Korea's crazy history,
Yeah.
we need to talk about where things stand today.
It's going to get interesting.
And from what our sources tell us, shit's about to get real again. So where the hell does South Korea stand today?
It's a vibrant democracy
They've been through some serious shit.
with a thriving economy and a global cultural presence.
It seems like they've accomplished some incredible things, too.
But it's also a country grappling with deep political divisions,
What's the current vibe over there?
social anxieties, and the constant threat from its unpredictable neighbor to the north.
Okay, so let's break this down. Who's calling the shots in South Korea these days?
The current president is Yoon Suk-yeol
Yoon Suk-yeol.
from the Conservative People Power Party.
Okay,
He took office in 2022,
right.
promising to restore order, strengthen the economy, and take a hard line against North Korea.
And what's this dude's deal?
Yoon is a complex figure.
Is he a straight-up hardliner?
He's a former prosecutor,
Okay.
known for his tough stance on crime and corruption.
So like a real hard ass.
He's also a staunch conservative who believes in a strong military and close ties with the United States.
So basically, he's not afraid to crack some skulls,
He's definitely a no-nonsense kind of guy.
whether it's criminals or commies.
But his approach has also made him some enemies.
Well, considering North Korea's track record, being a little cautious doesn't sound like a bad idea.
Both domestically and internationally.
But our sources mentioned something about martial law. What the hell is going on with that?
This is where things get really interesting.
Martial law.
After a series of political scandals and protests,
Okay.
Yoon declared martial law in November of 2024.
In a democratic country. Isn't that a bit extreme?
It was a controversial move, to say the least.
So he's using a crisis to consolidate his power.
It's a slippery slope.
Sounds like a page right out of the dictator's playbook.
His critics accuse him of using the situation to silence opposition and erode democratic institutions.
Damn, that's some heavy shit.
They argue that martial law is unnecessary
So martial law is in effect.
and that it's setting a dangerous precedent.
Yoon's calling the shots. What does this mean for the average South Korean?
It means their civil liberties are restricted.
Okay.
There are curfews, limitations on freedom of assembly and speech,
Uh-huh.
and an increased military presence on the streets.
So basically, it's not a good time to be in South Korea.
It's a tense and uncertain time, with many fearing that South Korea is sliding back into authoritarianism.
And what about North Korea? Are they just sitting back and watching this shit show unfold? Or are they getting in on the action?
North Korea is never just a spectator.
Yeah, true.
They've been ramping up their missile tests and military exercises,
Of course they have.
using the situation in South Korea to their advantage.
So basically, they're poking the bear, seeing how far they can push things, while South Korea is distracted by its own internal problems.
Exactly.
Hey, what about the U.S.? Aren't they supposed to be South Korea's best buddy? Are they stepping in to help out, or are they just watching from the sidelines?
The U.S. is in a difficult position.
I bet.
They have a security commitment to South Korea,
Right.
but they also don't want to get dragged into another war on the Korean peninsula.
Yeah, that makes
They're
sense.
trying to walk a tightrope,
Uh-huh.
supporting their ally while urging restraint and a diplomatic solution.
So basically, they're caught between a rock and a hard place.
It's a geopolitical nightmare.
All right, so we've got a president potentially going full-on dictator, North Korea acting up, and the U.S. walking on eggshells. It sounds like South Korea is a total mess. But our sources also mention some surprising things about South Korea.
Yeah.
Their tech, their religion, some other unexpected stuff.
South Korea is full of contradictions.
Okay.
Despite all the challenges they face, they've managed to achieve some remarkable things.
Like what?
They have the fastest internet speeds in the world.
Wait, seriously?
They're leading the way in robotics and biotechnology.
Wow.
And they're one of the most wired and technologically advanced societies on the planet.
Faster internet than even those crazy fiber optic networks in Japan.
Yep, South Korea is a technological powerhouse.
That's insane.
They embraced the digital revolution early on and have invested heavily in building a world-class infrastructure.
Damn, that's pretty impressive. What about religion? Aren't they mostly Buddhist or something?
Actually, South Korea has a surprisingly diverse religious landscape.
Okay.
While Buddhism is still prevalent, Christianity has been on the rise.
Really?
And there's a growing number of people who identify as non-religious.
So they're a melting pot of ancient traditions and modern influences.
Precisely, South Korea is a country of contrasts.
Makes sense.
A nation caught between its past and its future. It's a place where tradition and modernity collide, where ancient wisdom and cutting-edge technology coexist.
All right, folks, we've gone from ancient kingdoms and badass turtle ships to dictators, democracy movements, economic miracles, the global phenomenon of the Korean wave, and a whole lot of political drama. South Korea is a force to be reckoned with, but are they on the verge of imploding? It's a question that only time will tell. Stay curious, motherfuckers, and keep digging for those hidden truths. Peace out.